and welcome back to Pastor Plek's podcast. I'm so glad that all of you are joining us today as we're recording live from Austin, Texas. And with me once again in the studio is one of my favorite people. It's Ava's mom, also known as Mrs. Catie Sas. Welcome, Ava's mom. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. We need to talk about those joggers.
Okay, all right. So we'll talk about that in a second. Also with me in studio is the not so short Mr. John Milton. Welcome to the show.
Hello, that's me.
Yeah. So do you want to talk joggers first?
Seriously, you need to take, John, what do you think?
I think that is an accurate representation of the product.
Yeah, I think it is too. Why is it? It's not even a girl. It's a dude.
I'm saying, why is that a product that we're selling?
Because
we want the logo on the butt?
I actually want a pair though. I was actually going to order some.
Okay, so you want the logo on your butt cheek?
Well, it's not that I want the logo on my butt cheeks. Just where else do you put a logo on joggers?
Maybe the front pocket, or
Mm.
it's like really giving me the Juicy Couture
She's not wrong, actually.
sweatpants.
Yeah.
Do you remember those? It had like
remember
words
those.
on the butt. Like literally girls,
Those exist today.
including myself, unfortunately, would walk around with these little booty shorts on that literally
But these are not booty shorts. These are long pants.
juicy on the butt.
It still says that on sweatpants today.
Yeah, it's really okay.
All right. Anyway, so listen. I'm going to order my $24.99 joggers, and I will wear them for the next show. All right. So that's how committed I am.
That's not an undergarment?
No, this is like pants.
They're pants.
Like, have you
Okay.
not seen joggers? It's like what
I
cool
have.
kids wear
Those
today.
look pretty tight, though, don't they?
Those are not tight. They're just
Do you
joggers.
like tight pants?
I'm not wearing tight pants. All right. So here, let's talk about something more important, like how tall John is. How tall are you?
Boy. I never get this question. I'm just the tallest person you know.
Why are you like embarrassed to say how tall you are?
No, it's just a boring answer.
Well, then how is it?
I'm not going to enumerate my height. Everyone does that.
6'9".
So 6 feet 9 inches. Okay.
Great.
All
That's
right.
a more
So
exciting number.
yeah. Okay, that's good. All right. So tell me, we won't ask you about like the weather or anything. How's it up there? That is just too old and too ridiculous. But what we will talk about is you had never been to a church
Yep.
before March 5th.
That is mostly inaccurate.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
job.
All right.
So
So.
to enumerate that?
All right. So yeah. Do we need to enumerate? Are you going to give me some numbers on that?
I've been to other churches.
Oh. Okay.
You're
sorry.
so mysterious.
You are very mysterious.
Well, that's,
part of the draw.
yeah, probably.
So talk to me about you and your spiritual journey, if you can call it that.
Ooh, I've been, it's all retrospective, right? Or hindsight, rather. I've been guided often, and I didn't know it. But I can only say that now because I know the answer. At the time, it was, these people are talking about God. And, it's not true, obviously.
So people would talk to you about God all the time?
Not all the time. But when it did come up, it was exasperating to me.
Why?
Because I was taught that that these words were used to start wars in the Crusades.
Wait, when were you taught this?
That would have been from my mom, growing up,
Okay.
and then a little bit into world history. And that part stuck with me the most. They're like, hey, look, folks are going to misuse this word to, like, kill in the name of God.
Interesting.
And I thought,
was this like
well,
world
it's-
history in high school or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
that experience was like, well, I better stay away from that. It sounds like someone's going to trick me into doing something.
okay.
What?
So-
People have never done anything wrong in the name of Jesus.
That's right. Never.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, like, all right. So this would happen to you all over. Like the exasperating people would not stop, or like the number of them.
Well, that's the interesting thing. It's not just exasperating people. Like, there were some that certainly were fake and misrepresented their faith, but there's also a collection of folks I stumbled across in a Bible study on one visit. They were my students. So I had no idea we're into God.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Your students?
I'm sorry, my peers who were students.
Oh, your peers were students.
Clarify me. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say
Sorry.
dumb
Yeah.
words.
So when was this Bible study? Was this in college? Was it in high school?
This was high school, 11th or 12th grade.
Okay. So you're in was it a youth group of some sort at a church?
No, I just did it. It was my students, my
Peers.
my peers who were
Colleagues.
students who invited me.
If you ever start calling your high school buddies colleagues, that's when you know that you're probably an old soul or like just really out of touch. Anyway,
Right.
go ahead.
My dudes.
The dudes in the
We're like, hey, how about some Bible? I'm like, I've known you guys for a long time. What's going on here? So I showed up and took some passages and said, what do you think about this? And I never thought this could exist. This is just dudes being cool about the Bible. And then I never went back. It was so jarring.
Why was it jarring?
It was
No, I can relate to that.
not what I expected.
Well, okay, so what were you expecting?
I was expecting blind, clueless fools. That's what I'd been led to believe, and what made me safe is to look at that group of people and go, okay, that's not for me, and it can't be for me because they are weird.
Okay.
And they believe weird things. And that, that safety shield of don't investigate, it's gonna do bad things to you. Right? Because it's weird and unfamiliar. It must be untrustworthy.
So hold on, pause real quick. I just want you, this is where Katie's story is kind of fun. So Katie, when you first, it was that ball that kind of, you were walking your dog, I think, and a ball trickled by your feet.
Yeah, they were playing spike ball.
Spike ball, yeah. So, and did you know that they were Christians at the time?
No.
And they just invited you to a party? Or game night. No, game night.
They invited me to game night.
And what was game night?
It was not game night in my terms.
What was game night in your terms?
Well, drinking games.
Right, of course.
If we're going to sit in the house,
How old were you?
then there's going to be alcohol.
20, 19.
Yeah.
Old enough for it to be cool to drink, but not be okay to drink.
Yeah, I had a fake ID, sadly. at
Yeah.
19. And so, but yeah, thought it was a game night.
So,
and
you brought beer. Did they see the beer, or did you just quietly?
Well, I brought a bunch of bottles of wine that I had.
Oh,
How many?
And like 3.
3.
And it was fishbowl.
What's
And they
what's
were
fishbowl?
explaining.
it's a Christian game. Then.
Oh.
Just wait, John.
Okay.
Just wait until you get indoctrinated into
Yeah,
the
there's some
Christian world of games.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
It's weird. They were explaining the game to me, and I kept thinking like, at what point do you drink though? Like at what point? like when do you take the shot? You know? And I
wine.
asked that, and they're like, oh, you don't. And I was like, this is really lame and awkward.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go.
I relate to the weird.
Okay,
like,
so Katie can relate to weirdness, especially
Yeah.
in your teenage years.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Talk to me about then. So you don't go back to that Bible study. You kind of move on with your life. So who then exasperates you next?
That would have been my college roommate, Austin, who was able to take me aside and say, hey, God stuff. And he's my roommate, and I couldn't escape him. So that was awful because I made it awful. Like,
How'd you make it awful?
well, because he can't possibly know these answers. He can't. He's younger than me. Blah, 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 blah.
Like younger than you by 3 months or something?
2 years.
Okay, well, that's
He
pretty
was a
young.
freshman. I was not a freshman anymore.
yeah.
Clout, et cetera,
Yeah.
college rules.
Yep.
And he had a ton of stuff figured out that I had to sort of realize.
Okay. So Austin, did he share the gospel with you? And does that term gospel mean anything?
He was not. He knew at the time that I was not ready for that message. Instead, he knew to translate into like something I would be open to examining.
Okay.
Right.
And so so he would just kind of, hey, what do you think about this with God? What do you think about that with God? That kind of stuff?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
And
Asking questions that don't have easy answers.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, okay. And
I can't point to one in particular, but I can point to a particular.
like, why is there suffering? Like, is that?
I'm sure that came up. I can't, for the life of me, tell you what my answer might have been, other than ignorant.
Okay.
But today, I can say for sure that the moment I really needed to listen to him was when he took me aside and explained, look, John, I know you have a lot of opinions for a lot of things, but remember that in general, when people don't ask you for those opinions, you can be interpreted as sort of a brazen kind of dude.
Brazen. That was a good
And
word.
you'll notice that over time, people will just opt not to hang out with you because calling you out is weird for them to do.
Huh.
So I'm telling you all this so that you will find a way to change yourself, because if you don't, you will die alone. And now I'm going to go away from this room now so you can think about that, because I know you have something you want to say, but just think on it for a bit. I'll be back later.
Do you feel like
And-
that was? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you feel like that was like a good friend move or a?
At the time, no.
Oh.
But in the next 30 minutes, I was like, you guys are right.
Oh, I've always wanted to cuss on the podcast.
Got to make sure it's subtle.
Yeah,
and
that's
pointed.
good. Yeah.
But yes, it was a really annoying thing I needed to hear.
Uh-huh.
And I took it to heart. And that annoyingly became a part of the journey to Christ.
Wow. All right. So, okay, this is fascinating. All right. So, Austin, then you graduate college. Austin's no longer part of your life.
No, I don't graduate college.
Okay, you leave college.
I leave college because I'm better than that.
Of course, you're too
You're
smart.
better than college.
Yeah. What college were you at?
This is St. Edward's University in
Oh,
Austin, Texas.
downtown.
Today.
All right.
It's not downtown. It's south of downtown.
Okay. Well, barely. When you're in North Austin
Yeah.
and you call it Austin, anything that has high-rise buildings around it and you can see the downtown from St. Edward's campus, which you can. That's downtown.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're up here in way North Austin, almost Round Rock, you go, that's downtown. Anyway.
Okay.
So when did you leave St. Ed's?
That would have been 2006, right? Yeah, October
Oh.
2006.
Okay. And then what'd you do next?
Then I went and worked at Amy's Ice Creams.
Oh, what, in the Arboretum?
No, funny story. That was the one shift I was supposed to take on for someone else, and I no-showed it.
Oh.
So don't do that, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I worked the Super South directly across the street from St. Edward's University
Oh,
because
excellent.
I am lazy and I don't own a car, and it was right across the street from where I knew, so I didn't have to go anywhere, really. Convenient.
Okay, so after Amy's Ice Cream, did someone at Amy's Ice Cream tell you about Jesus?
Nah, none of them were into Jesus.
Okay.
And if they were, they didn't make it public. They were very into drugs, in fact. I
Okay.
don't know if you knew this, but Amy's Ice Creams never had a drug test because
That would be a bad move.
you wouldn't get as many employees.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so that's good. It's good to know about your ice cream. All right, so talk to me then, like, about the next iteration of Christians that talk to you.
Okay, let me think. Because there's a big gap there.
So you go through life for a while, from 2006 to 2022,
22.
16 years, no Christian. And how long were you downtown? Or sorry, across from St. Ed's?
This has been a year later, I moved north.
Okay, all the way up to here.
Yeah.
So you've been in the vicinity of Wells Branch Community Church for how long?
Since 07.
Okay, so the church got planted in 09, so, we can't.
Literally my backyard.
Really?
But there's other churches, too, that are way bigger and way more impressive looking.
That's valid.
But-
That's valid. Yeah.
That is
But
very true. Yeah.
I get the feeling that they're not as cool on the inside.
we were very cool in here.
You're really cool. I would describe this church as irreparably based.
Mm-hmm. It's like what my coaches used to tell me in high school when I was not good at sports. Like, you might not look good whenever you're trying to play this sport, but you've got heart.
Is that a compliment?
I decided to take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll do right now.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah. We have heart, okay?
Okay.
all right. So 22. Who then mentions church, Jesus, something?
That would be the great and wonderful Christopher Dayton.
So Chris Dayton. Oh, that's so funny.
Yes.
So was he your colleague?
He is my colleague.
Okay.
Indeed.
And where were you working, or where are you working?
We're going to Rate Genius Loan Services, Inc.,
Oh, nice.
doing the refinance for all of God's men and women.
Yeah. Okay. So then, how does he bring it up? It's like, yo, John, you going to church this weekend? Or, yo, John, do you believe in Jesus? How did he,
I can't remember how it started, but I can remember how it went in the middle and in the end.
Okay.
And that was,
in the middle?
hey, what do you think about your existence?
He asked that?
Yeah.
Like, just out of...
That's such a Chris
It was,
Dayton thing
again,
to
this
say.
is in the middle of the conversation. I don't know how it started.
Okay, so you're just like, hey, what do you think about your existence? And you're like,
Sure.
and that seemed like a normal question to ask at the time.
It seemed like a question I was prepared to talk about.
Okay, fair enough.
But not have an answer for.
Okay, so yeah, what did you say to that?
I think it was, well, I can't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is unknowable stuff. But before, I was very against it for the reasons I've already explained. I won't do it twice. And Now I'm just not sure. Now it feels arrogant to claim to have the answer.
Oh, fascinating. Okay.
And the more I come across a lot of dudes who are public faces and famous who claim to have answers, don't seem like they do.
No.
So I search for folks who have at least a glimpse of humility and a glimpse of.
And that was Chris Dayton?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was able to ask me those questions.
That's really good.
Hey, I'm going to Bible study on Friday. You should come. And then I ruined it because he said, Wells Branch Community Church. And I said, oh, yeah, it's over at the Blah, like down the street from me. And then that Friday came, and then I conveniently forgot to ask which, where, one, and I ended up in the parking lot of the other church. Across other church on Wells Branch and said, hey, where is this? And he didn't answer his phone. So I said, well, I guess I don't have to go to Bible study, and went home.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so then eventually you make it into the Bible study.
Yeah, the next week. I show up.
And were you greeted with like frowns and like, hey, tall person, leave?
No, it was, how was the first one? It was definitely weird. I didn't know anybody.
Was Chris there?
Chris was there.
Oh, that's good.
I knew that guy. But then a bunch of other people. And they started asking interesting questions.
Like what?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't memorize anything.
Oh, did you find out that Christians are actually not as boring as you thought?
Yeah. Well, in this particular Bible study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might be boring in other ones. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll wait.
Yeah,
The jury's out until
Yeah.
I meet enough people to go, well, what's this about your existence? And hear their answer. And then go, okay, that was an interesting answer.
Okay, so you're at this Bible study, and then they go like, did you have any flirt to convert moments? Did someone say, let me tell you about Jesus? What happened here?
Hold on,
No,
did
in
you
fact-
just say flirt to convert?
Yeah, I mean, there could have been a girl
If it
there.
rhymes, it's going to work.
Wow.
There could have
All
been a
the
girl
time.
there that was like very
The
interested.
stuff you say sometimes.
Well, that makes sense, right?
works,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So okay, so
No, that didn't happen.
yeah, I didn't think it did, but it just got to check. That's kind of how you get a pulse on
Doing a
how.
Plek check.
Yeah, a Plek check. That's
Okay.
good. All right.
Anyways, no, it was mealtime, which was surprising. It's like,
Why was that
barbecue
surprising?
food. Because I don't expect a group to be so accommodating to my fleshy needs, my mortal husk needs.
So how? Okay, so so hold on. Have you ever experienced any groups?
Yeah,
Like what kind of groups?
some board game groups.
Okay.
Some
Oh.
video game groups. Yeah.
Okay, and so the board game group, when they get together, do they have coffee?
Don't
Don't they do something?
There's some snack fare.
Okay, but this was like full on meal.
This is a full-on spread,
Okay.
right? And then it's complicated questions that people don't necessarily have all the answers to, and figuring out those answers through Scripture. And also, nobody told me what to think.
So when you came in, you weren't like, I want to be a Christian. You were coming. Why did
What's
you?
going on here?
Yeah, what's going on?
What is this exactly? I was
just sheer
investigatory.
curiosity.
Yeah. What is this? Do I need it in my life? Because I don't think I do, but I've been wrong before.
So there's
And it's free dinner.
it is free dinner. but-
Also true.
yeah. So here's the interesting thing. I actually met with a guy that's been at our church for over 10 years, over 10 years, and I go, because he doesn't believe in Jesus either, but he comes, serves, does everything except believe.
Interesting.
It's wild. And I go, Maddie, why are you here? You know, because
Calling him out right now, Maddie.
yeah. Well, I was like, why? Well, he probably wouldn't mind because I talk about it all the time. He's pretty
Okay.
open about where he's at. And I go, because usually there's people that don't believe in Jesus and they come to church to sort of save us from our delusions of this guy who lived a life, died, and then resurrected.
Wait, so to steer people away from Christ.
Yeah, just to kind of come and be like, hey, you're deluded, you are crazy. Come to the rational place.
Away.
Let me save you from, it's like an atheist missionary.
Got it.
All right. And then there are people that are like truly like, man, I want to know who God is. And you people seem to have the answer. Let me show up because I don't know yet. And so I just go, which one are you? He goes, neither. And I go, are you just the guy that's just coming to the museum to look at the weird, peculiar people? He's like, yes, that's me.
Yeah.
I just like asking questions of you people and just like, it's fascinating, the weird answers you guys give. And it's wild to see that you actually believe this stuff.
We are his life's entertainment.
Exactly. That is.
Yeah.
And I was like, Really? That is anyway. So
That's how it started with me.
okay, so
Yeah.
really
I
okay.
was,
I didn't.
What's going on
I
here?
always assumed it was one or the other, and so I actually feel like I probably I completely have a new perspective. Most people just look at Christians and go like, that can't be real. Like, what is? Do you really believe all that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So there you go. You show up, you hear all these interesting questions, searching the Bible, and then you decide that you're going to come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came back,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happened?
And then, well, the other thing that I noticed on my first visit and on consecutive visits was that there's this Bible study thing. It's a group activity. After that's done, the men and women separate into different rooms for prayer. And I thought, hold on. A lot of culture is saying right now that men and women are the same. And I'm supposed to repeat that over and over again so I don't get killed by them. Here are these Christians going, no, men and women are different, dude. I'm like, tell me more.
So this sort of, and it's wild to think about because like that is such a natural thing for men to go with men to pray and women to go with women to pray.
Yeah.
It's like not even like a weird thing. But for you, you're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Tell me
Wow.
more. Because I've found out recently through non-church venues that like, no, guys, stop it. So they're different. Doesn't mean you're bad. Doesn't mean one's worse than the other.
Right. Not everything has to be exactly the same.
But it's really popular.
Yeah.
And it's really loud. And it's hard to ignore.
Right.
And being able to surround myself with folks who I could be in an environment where I don't have to fight that battle.
Right.
I can just show up and be like, dudes and chicks are different.
Yeah.
And
it's really
Okay,
great.
that is. Can I just say that is so weird but refreshing? I guess.
Yeah, it's
like we are so countercultural. We're really cool.
Yeah.
But okay, all right, go on.
it's completely based.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to this men prayer time, women prayer time, and then prayer. What was that like?
That was a hit or miss scenario because it was men talking about their feelings in a group
this is
setting,
So wonderful.
which,
Did you
Not-
feel uncomfortable?
oh yeah, very.
Like, yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
Usually, whenever men, like, and especially non-Christian men, where men get into prayer groups and they start talking about vulnerability and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like some dudes are like out at that point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I will, like, talking about feelings. That is not a safe place. I don't trust you. I would rather shoot you than tell you about my feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
So that's where you're engaging these guys who are vulnerable and sharing stuff, and then people pray for them.
Yes. And I'll describe it like this.
Did you share anything?
Nah. I just
Yeah.
made something up.
You didn't go like pass. You just go, yeah, I got at work that pray for my work or
Yeah.
sales.
Well, I want to know more about this Bible thing you guys are talking about. Pray for that, I guess.
Okay.
And then, no, but that experience encapsulated is like this for me. Is every once in a while we'll have those nightmares where we're in class presenting and suddenly we're naked.
Yes, definitely happens.
All right, that's that. It's you show up to a prayer group for the first time, you're not Christian, and a man unclothed
Just
are his feelings made bare, right? That's the sensation I got.
Okay.
That's fascinating.
And
Because you pretty much live naked, feelings wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't handle that. Cover up, miss, I would say.
She'll be emotional nudists.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's definitely a time and a place for it. And that's important.
Okay, good. All right. So in this separate chamber of the men's locker room of the church,
That's way cooler.
that's where you could emotionally be vulnerable and expose that place that you
There's certainly a
look
lot
at.
more willing.
Yes. So the first time you just made something about work. The next time you go back, did you ever actually share? Or no, you made something about, hey, I want to know the Bible more, which is true.
Sure.
All right. So then what?
Well, then it became more of a pray for the Lord to reveal himself to me type thing.
Yeah.
And then
So
became,
did people like suggest that to you? Like, hey, you should pray for God to reveal himself?
only when I asked.
Did you say, what should I pray for?
Yeah, I it's hard to remember.
But the fact that you got to pray that the Lord reveals himself to me, that's that's what I tell every non-Christian.
Well, that one was, I'm cheating. That one was suggested by Chris. Sorry, not Chris. Tony Nelson.
Tony Nelson, yeah.
Yeah.
I did tell that to Tony back, let's see, that was 9 years ago.
Mm.
That's wild. Okay. So then he tells you that. Do you do that?
I do.
So like, how did you go and pray for God to reveal himself to you?
It's during moments that I have time to myself, which is a lot.
Do you remember where you were sitting?
No, not for this prayer. It was probably when I was just laying down, getting ready to sleep.
Okay, fair enough. So you're in your bed, you're going, God, reveal yourself to me. Amen.
Something like that.
Okay. So then something obviously shifted in you.
Yeah, something.
So how did the shift from these people are crazy to these people are interesting to they believe in men and women are different? That's wild. Then what?
Then it was, well, look, this collection of people seems to have a lot of this figured out with this particular book they're all agreeing to read, right? So pragmatically, seems safe to, I haven't seen anything any red flags yet.
Right.
Let's go, I'll wait and see what else I'm invited to.
Right.
Right. And invitations are awesome. Telling me to do something is never going to work.
Okay.
So invite me to whatever you want, and I'll show up.
Okay.
And yeah, and then it was just more of like, unless I see a red flag, this is probably good for me. Like I'm seeing a lot of human beings mingling in such a way that bolsters themselves, but particularly their fellow man. Because you kind of can't go it alone.
Right. And you knew that intrinsically, but you seeing it lived out made you go, oh, they figured something out here.
Yeah. There's something here there's some beef here.
Right. Okay, so then you got invited to the men's retreat. So you hadn't gone to a Sunday service yet.
Nope.
But you did get invited to a men's retreat, which you probably had to pay for.
Yeah. No, that's the even better part. The sign up website for that thing is brilliant and smooth and flawless and fast and didn't have any ads. And it was so beautiful. And at the end of it, when I'm signing up for the men's retreat, it says, hey, would you like to pay any amount? I'm like, that's the correct way. Yes, I will pay a larger amount because you asked nicely.
Wait a minute. So you paid more than it was asked to pay or whatever?
Yeah.
That is, okay.
Yeah,
somebody write that down. It worked. We had something we did worked.
Yeah, I want to say that that drop-down menu had a 0 in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, nah, keep going. Because it had 100 in there. I was like, sure.
Okay,
Because
excellent.
you didn't tell me.
All right, nice.
I think it's worth this much.
Okay. And so then you went.
Yeah, I went.
Okay.
You know, you actually roomed with my husband.
No, I didn't know that.
Her husband's Ryan Sass.
Ryan Sass.
Ryan Sass.
Ryan Sass.
Yeah, not Zass.
The dude with gray hair.
The dude with gray hair.
Yeah. Quiet, tan, really good looking.
It's true. Although I would not be eager to say that. I'll agree with you.
Okay, so you go to this retreat, which you probably have never been. What did you, because I met you, I'd met you before, but I met you again there, and I was sort of surprised to see you at the retreat. Mm-hmm. And you're with a bunch of men singing songs, which had to have been sort of, well, it's kind of concert-y, I guess, so it's not that out of control.
The music is not bad at all, which is another thing I was expecting.
This is bad music.
I've heard bad Christian music before.
Fair enough.
It belongs in that lovely country western approach is really nice, though.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we kind of had that. You were out in the middle of nowhere, essentially.
We're at campgrounds.
Campgrounds. And so have you ever been to a campground before?
No, I never went to. Yes, I've been to campground.
Okay. Yeah, there's some people that have never experienced a camp.
That's too bad.
But now you're an adult at a campground.
Yeah.
And so then you're like eating camp food and you're going to listen to some guy talk for like a long time.
Sure.
And how was that?
It was interesting. How does one encapsulate a sermon?
Yeah, because especially coming from a perspective of not a Christian. So did you look around at people and go like, oh man, these people really believe this stuff and they're into it. I kind of want to believe this stuff, or like.
Well, again, it was more testing the water. Just watch out for red flags.
Yeah.
Like, is that a good message? Yeah, okay, I can see where they're getting with that. Is people are into this. Nothing in here is saying like disown your employment for the name of the Lord. So nothing jumped out at me as like this is quote bad for you. So see what happens. And I like parables. I like lessons. I like stories that happened to describe like, and then this happened, and as a result, through faith in God, they were saved, or they were whatever good thing happened.
Right.
If you could encapsulate one emotion that you were feeling throughout the retreat, I know this is a big question, but throughout the retreat, what was one emotion you can remember feeling deeply?
This is like you're just asking him to emotionally address right here. But
That's all right.
Let's do it.
Well, we'll do. I'm just gonna say some
Are you gonna make me
collarbone.
wait?
It's that would be hesitation followed by familiarity followed by relief.
Okay, those are
Oh,
the
that's
emotions.
good. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
in that order.
Relief. Okay, why relief?
Relief that it
It was over and
It was-
nothing crazy happened.
and also that it was worth my time.
Oh. Hey, tell me about the small group discussion. I think, did Ryan lead that?
No, that was led by one Jacob.
Jacob. So Jacob led that. So you've got Ryan, you got Jacob. Who else is in this group?
Two other Chris's. It was Chris
Bowers?
Dayton and Chris, an older than me gentleman who's like a business tycoon.
Got Von Schweintz.
Yes.
Okay, so you're sitting down with all these guys, and they're all talking about the questions, and
Sure.
they're all, connecting and saying whatever they're saying. And what was your reaction in those? Was that more of the emotional undressing that was sort of weird, or was that,
It was more emotional undressing, and it was more of that men bonding stuff, which is skewed in my day-to-day.
how so?
This doesn't exist.
Talk to me about that, because I feel like this is where, I feel like we're on this, like we might be the trendy people now being in church that thinks men and women are different.
Yeah.
Talk to me about why that is so rare.
Largely that most of my human interaction exists either in the workplace, which is very reserved. I don't really let myself out of the cage there, and largely on the interwebs.
Got it. Okay.
And the internet's really good at saying, here are the good guys, and here are the bad guys, and here's how you fight. And that will somehow give you satisfaction in life.
Oh, wow. That's really depressing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have this interaction. You're at the camp. It comes to a conclusion. There's a big thing at the end. Are you going to sign up, re-up, step up? And you're thinking at that time, what?
Not yet.
Not yet.
If I did, I'd be pretending.
Got it. Okay. So then you come to church that Sunday
very
morning.
next Sunday.
Yeah, and Danny was up here preaching, and you're like, what? Kind of like more of the same.
It was good that I didn't do this first.
Ah, really?
Yeah. The church experience would not have convinced me that there was more to it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because
That's good.
and this is just for me.
No, yeah, that's good.
It's one thing to have someone educate or tell me what a scripture means,
Sure.
right? But I really indulge in the back and forth.
The dialogue.
Okay, what about this though?
Mm-hmm.
And then what about this though? And I have someone give me a convincing answer that they believe
Right.
is more interesting than giving me the answer I expected.
Right.
That speaks more to the human condition,
Okay.
and that's a lot more important.
Okay. So then you go back to the Bible study or whatever on Friday, and then And then is that when you're like, I'm a believer now, yay Jesus, or what happened?
No, it's a lot more of I'll keep showing up and wait for red flags because I'm used to being disappointed.
Okay.
The cracks are going to show, and someone's going to sin in a crazy way, and I will be vindicated, and I will then either decide I'm out or I'll decide I can fix this or something like that.
Yeah.
This is so relatable.
You know?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How so?
Well, I just remember feeling the same way with like being around Christians and being like, there's something different here, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something different about them.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand it. So hearing him talk about that, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's like a lot of where I was.
Yeah. And
Because it took me a year.
yeah. And yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, like I think that, John, your story of how you're kind of coming to know, you came to know people of the church first
Yeah.
before you came to know Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So so at what point, because you came to my house last night.
Yeah, that happened.
And you came to our, we have beer, beef, and Bible every Tuesday night. And it's a kind of a wild experience. That last night was sort of an odd, we went off on a weird tangent. So that's not how it usually
I can't
goes.
know that, though.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
That's
What
my
did you think of
introduction.
the tangent?
So for me, I'll take it as I had a great time.
Oh, good. Yeah, because
So
it
don't
was
worry
like,
about
I
it.
was like, because usually it's weirder, but it's not about contraception. So anyway,
It's still an important topic.
it was a weird one.
Did y'all talk about condoms or something?
No.
Yeah.
Birth control?
Yeah, birth control. It just took. It started off with a weird question, and then I couldn't get it back onto normalcy, and eventually we just landed the plane, broke into small groups.
That's great.
It was good.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Hey, sometimes you have an incredible discussion. Sometimes it's just weird, and that was last night.
Chris, it's not your plan. It's God's plan.
Yeah, thank you. So anyway, hopefully someone got something out of that. So at what point did you go, hey, I'm in?
That would have been March 19th.
March 9th, so that's Sunday night.
Yeah, I think so.
So what happened on March 19th?
March 19th, I was doing the old prayer thing in bed.
Uh-huh.
And just thought, well, okay, if I'm compiling all the data I've found so far and smush it together and go, okay, well, is there anything wrong with it? This Bible church stuff. I'm like, well, no. I was like, well, do you have a better answer? And I was like, no, I don't. Okay, well, can you trust these folks who are following God to then do what they're doing and hope for the best? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. That's a lot more direction than I have right now anyway. So it's on the backs of everyone else that I found Jesus.
Wow. That is wild.
Which feels like I'm cheating.
Why does that feel like you're cheating?
Well, because my mind tells me there's like it's not supposed to be that convenient.
It's pretty amazing.
And it also, I'm concerned that there's going to be this honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will
Which,
be.
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
good. If you had said no, I would have said, you're lying.
No. So
Oh,
in
yeah, I
fact,
expect it.
here's what happens. Whenever you become a Christian, you get really excited for a little bit, and then you're going to have what's called spiritual attack, which is sort of like a new thing, where then somebody will let you down, and then you go, was my faith in people or is it faith in Jesus, who I've yet to see? And then it grounds you into like, oh wow, this Jesus is so reliable that even though the church is messed up, because even though you see like how awesome we are right now, eventually someone's going to do something dumb. Probably me, I could do something dumb.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden you go, oh, my faith isn't based on the human interactions I've had. My faith is based in the interaction I've had with God, who justifies me, frees me, loves me in spite of me, and allows me to love these other broken people that are kind of going through the same journey.
Right.
So anyway, the next piece is spiritual attack.
I have thought about that happening.
Yeah.
Do you or have you ever struggled with loneliness or depression?
Oh, yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's bad.
Well, Katie suffered with some loneliness and depression.
Not necessarily loneliness, but definitely depression.
So, but when you're depressed, how can you be depressed and not lonely?
I'll tell you. Those are not linked things.
How are they not linked? Because
Well-
if you're depressed, don't you feel like nobody gets you?
No.
No.
You just feel like
What's the point?
sad and you don't know how to get out of
Yeah.
it.
There can be a sadness that has no explanation.
Yeah.
Okay, so Katie, then how has Jesus brought you out of sadness into hope?
I don't think it has to be a hope without sadness. I think that I still experience bouts of sadness, but that doesn't mean that hope is stagnant.
Oh, really?
It's hope that keeps the sadness from becoming too overwhelming.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would think both of those things exist on a sliding scale.
Yeah. You can either lean into hope or lean into your sadness. And so whatever direction emotionally you decide, because you choose. I mean, I know I say that all the time, but you choose to lean into the emotion that you choose to lean into.
Yeah.
And so for me, I have struggled with depression off and on, some circumstantial and some just related to childhood
Trauma.
wounds and trauma. But I think what keeps me going and what keeps me from sinking into
Oblivion.
just this ocean of hurt is the hope that I do have in Jesus.
Okay, so you've got this new hope in Jesus, John, and now word on the street is like baptism's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting, and like that's an amazing story. So like because I asked you about that last night, and you're like, yeah, let's do it. Why is it that simple? I know that seems like a dumb question, maybe for you, but a lot of people when I ask that, they're like, I really don't know. You know, what for you? That like, talk to me about why that's so simple.
Because I was invited to, and because I trust the machinations of the Lord made manifest in the church.
Okay, wow, that's really great. Yeah, so that's pretty impressive. Thank you, John, for that. I'm very excited for that.
It's not technically for you.
There's a part of it that it is for me, right? I mean, I get to be encouraged.
We get to celebrate
Yeah, celebration.
and be
It's like
excited
for
with
sure.
you.
yeah, but it is. I do appreciate your perspective. Okay, so what's next for you? Who in your life are you going to tell about Jesus now?
Oh boy, that's terrifying.
Why is that terrifying?
Well, because so far of the people I've told, I haven't been rebuked.
Really?
Yet, but I expect it.
What do you mean?
I know that at some point someone's going to ask what I'm up to. I'm going to say, God and Jesus. And they're going to say, what
Yeah.
do you mean? And I'll be like, I don't know. Just seemed like a good idea. Nothing's gone wrong yet. It's a struggle. Human condition, all that. Kind of my bag. But so far, I think I've told 2 people. One who is my other Christian guide, Jacob, who's out of Missouri, if I remember correctly. And he bought me my 2 first Bibles once I told him about the Bible study I got into.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even ask. He's like, I'm getting you Bibles right now. And that that interaction is it's taking off your emotional clothing and letting someone see what's going on in you, and all the interpretations that I had going in of Christians are this and this and this and this and this about this, and they're judgmental about this, is going to be projected onto me from my peers.
Oh, right.
And I hope I don't disappoint them, and I hope they don't throw me out, and I'll have to let my family know at some point.
Oh,
and that
man, talk to
amount
me
of
about
baggage.
Yeah, talk to me about how hard that's going to be.
I can't know. I already don't want to talk about it. It's also not the sort of thing that needs to be brought up unless asked. in a human interaction scenario,
Yep.
I find a lot of folks are less hesitant when they asked me about it, not when I advertised it.
Fair enough. But if you brought a girl home
Yeah.
and you were going to marry her, you could wait for them to ask you about her, or you say, hey, guess what? I'm getting married. Or like, hey, guess what? I mean, like, you're pretty excited about that.
Like, will you tell them that you're getting baptized?
I wasn't planning on it.
Like, so then what happens, not that, listen, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But the thought would be, this would be an exciting time to share something that's happened to you.
Yeah.
Because in the same way that you're sort of in your head and like you're feeling lost, and it could be that they have been projecting a confidence, and on the inside, they're just as vulnerable and lost as you were, and that they wish that somebody would have said, hey, check this out. For example, when I was 22 and I stumbled upon this church that was really exciting and fun, I was like, why didn't anybody tell me about this? This is amazing.
Sure.
And so there's that part of it, right? So I feel like, beyond the great commission of Jesus to, go and make disciples of all nations. But there's that part of like, it could be that God has chosen you specifically because you have interactions and relationships with the people in your sphere of influence that I definitely don't have access to. Katie doesn't have access to. None of the Christians have access to. And now you're the light in the darkness that says, hey, guess what? Now, how you do that, because you're probably unique in your own approach. And so that God's going to use you in that way. But I think I would be open to, Lord, what are you going to do with me in the relationships that I have? And to kind of stiff arm people really close to you because it's just too weird, which I totally get. I totally get it. It might be the thing where you go, this is an opportunity to bring people in closer to God.
Yeah.
But who knows?
It might.
So,
And if it is, it will happen not through my machinations, but through, I guess, the Lord working through me and my
The Holy Spirit.
peculiar
nice.
human
That's right.
interactions.
That's God's sovereignty right there. I think the good news is just if in the same way that God put it on your heart to believe, which is sort of wild to think about, he's going to put it on your heart to share. And that's the beauty of just walking in obedience, is you get to see God do stuff that you would think never imaginable. And then even in the rejection, if you can call it that, it's just like that one conversation that Austin had with you where at first you're like, oh, but then you gave it 30 minutes, you're like, huh. That's how that goes. Man, I've really been just sort of excited about this conversation, and
Yeah,
we
it's
might
really
have
good.
to do this again. And so, John, thank you so much for coming on the show with us. This is really something I've treasured for the past hour. And Katie, thank you as always. Listen, if you want to join the conversation, just text us 737-231-0605 or go to pastorplek.com and just leave a message for us there. We would love to hear and respond. If you got any questions for John specifically, you're like, all right, new Christian guy, what about this? And he would love to enter into that dialogue, I'm assuming, with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we could probably have some great conversations that we could see God work through John. I'm excited for that. So, hey, thank you so much for listening, watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, do all the things. But from our house to yours, have an awesome week of worship.